In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am your English teacher, Arshad Bhatti. Hope you all are fine. In this video, we are going to read unit number 10, The Wolf Children 2. This is page number 98 of your book. Now I am going to read the meanings of some difficult words in this passage. Orphanage. It means a shelter for children who have no parents. On all fours. It means using hands and feet. Lapped up. It means drank like animals. Growled. It means produced sounds in anger. Snapped. Bit like animals. Now I am going to read the passage. On November 4th, Mr. Singh took the two girls to the orphanage in the city. His wife, who helped run the orphanage, could hardly believe her eyes as she watched the wolf children. Both had thick, rough skin on their hands, knees, and elbows because they moved on all fours. When they wanted to go a short way, they used their knees and elbows. But when they wanted to run, they would travel using their hands and feet. Mrs. Singh gave them each a dish of milk, which they lapped up. When she tried to touch them, they growled and snapped at her hand. The girls were given the names Kamala and Amala. Kamala means lotus flower and Amala means bright yellow flower. Now I am going to explain this passage. Mr. Singh brought the two girls to the orphanage. His wife was surprised to see the wolf children. The girls had rough skin on their hands, knees, and elbows because they moved using their knees, elbows, and hands. When Mrs. Singh gave them milk in a dish, the girls lapped it up. When she tried to touch the girls, they got angry and tried to bite her. The Singhs gave the girls names Kamala and Amala. Kamala means a lotus flower and Amala means a bright yellow flower. Now I am going to explain difficult words in this passage. Miracle and unusual happening. Howls produces sound like wolves. Accord filled with sounds. Discovery, find. Survived, lived. Now the passage. It was clear that Kamala was several years older than Amala, and Mrs. Singh guessed that Kamala must be about 8 years old. The Singhs had no way of telling whether the two girls were sisters or not, and they had no idea how they had come to live with the wolves. It seemed a miracle that they had survived in the jungle for so long. Mr. Singh decided that the discovery of the children should be kept a secret. His wife agreed that this was best for the girls. It was a secret that the Singhs were not able to keep for long. When Mrs. Singh tried to give the girls their first bath, the orphanage echoed with their howls. Soon talk of the wolf children spread through the city. Now I am going to explain this passage. Mrs. Singh was able to know that Kamala was older than Amala. She guessed that Kamala must have been 8 years old. The Singhs were unable to know whether the girls are sisters or not. They also did not know how the girls had come to live with the wolves. It was very strange that the girls had survived in the jungle. Mr. Singh thought it better to keep the discovery of the girls a secret. But they could not keep it a secret for a long time. When Mrs. Singh tried to give the girls a bath, they made so much noises that everyone in the orphanage heard it. Soon the whole city came to know about the wolf children. The, the difficult words and their meanings. Hurl, it means throw. Eerily means in a strange manner. Crouch, it means take a low position with bent knees. Motionless means unmoving. Escape means run away. Now I'm going to read the passage. The first lesson that Amala and Kamala had to learn was that they were not wolves. This was far more difficult than Mrs. Singh had imagined. Although she deliberately played with other children in front of Amala and Kamala, she could not get the girls to behave like humans. For weeks they ignored the games and laughter of the children. Instead, they preferred to crouch in the shade or stand motionless with their faces to the wall. Only at night did they become active. They would howl eerily or hurl themselves at the wall in an attempt to escape. Now I am going to explain this passage. The first lesson that Mrs. Singh had to teach the girls was to tell them that the girls were not wolves. But this was not so simple. She played with other children in front of them, but the wolf children could not understand it. The girls were unable to behave like humans. For many days the girls did not mix up with the other children. They would sit under the shade of trees or sometimes stand motionless with their faces towards the wall. But at night time they would become active. They also made sounds like that of wolves and also tried to escape the orphanage. The explanation of this passage will help you to solve exercise A, questions A to F. Question A. Was Mrs. Singh surprised by the children? How do we know? Answer. Yes, she was surprised by them. She could hardly believe her eyes. Question B. How did the two children move about? Answer. The two, the two children moved about on all fours. Sometimes they moved on their knees and elbows, but if they wanted to run, they used their feet and hands. Question C. Why did the children drink milk by lapping it up with their tongues? Answer. Wolves drink by lapping with their tongues, and this was what the children had learned. So they also lapped milk with their tongues. Question D. In what ways did the children behave like animals? Answer. They used their knees and elbows to move short distances. They used their hands and feet when running. They lapped milk from a dish. They howled and did not like being bathed. They crouched in the shade or stood motionless with their faces to the wall. Question E. What did the Singhs decide to do and why? Answer. The Singhs decided to keep the discovery of the wolf girls a secret. They did not want people coming to see them out of curiosity. Question F. Why did the girls become active only at night? Answer. Wolves are active at night and sleepy during the day, and the girls were used to following this pattern of behavior. Dear students, you will find the remaining part of this story in the next video. Until then, Allah Hafiz.